thesis or conclusion or discovery was about the relationship between attachment systems and implicit memories. And this was like so mind-bogglingly profound because it explained every single moment of my life in a way that psychology and neuroscience and millions of different resources and interactions and people and doctors and documentaries and so many things had never, ever, ever been able to explain. So what I discovered was that the well-being of attachment systems affects the processing of memories. And memories unconsciously create information and various styles of messages, action patterns, sensations, etc. in relation to attachment well-being. Part of this also, and I'll talk about each of those, but the other thing is that activation of this unconscious information profoundly affects how new information becomes processed. So let me break down these three things for you. So the first one is that attachment well-being affects the processing of memories. So memories, there are various styles of abstract associations, right? So there's the concept of a cat and a concept of being happy. And they make an association, and you see a cat and it activates implicit data and you think, I feel happy. And it's a very instinctive automatic thing. What happens when you have a moment of life where a cat suddenly bites you? Okay, you're petting this cat, you're in this moment, and everything's good. This soft, fluffy, furry, just fantastic creature, right? You're just enjoying this beautiful moment, and all of a sudden, this cat turns around and bites your hand, and you're feeling pain, and you're bleeding, and you're feeling panic in your body, and you're feeling stress, and you just want to like throw the cat off you, and like the whole moment suddenly shifts to a completely different style of automated internal experience. Well, what happened in that moment was suddenly an attachment need was not fulfilled, and it shifted the styles of neurobiological activity. Suddenly, you're not feeling connected and safe. You're feeling threatened and unsafe in a moment, unconsciously. You're not consciously like, oh no, I'm not safe. Your unconscious body is like, oh my God, I'm not safe. Unconsciously. So it doesn't go through a narrative of thinking that, but it goes through a sensational process of feeling that. And so in that moment, okay, there's this moment, this instant moment where the attachment need of feeling safe, again, it's very much feeling. It doesn't matter if you're factually safe. It matters if the unconscious body, mind feels, sensationally feels safe. So in this instant where the cat suddenly bites you, there's not a felt sense of safety in that moment. Okay, so attachment well-being affects memory processing. What happens in that moment is the experiential elements regarding the abstract conceptualizations of a cat become processed in a way that the neural data does not harmoniously couple. Harmonious coupling is the term that I use to describe integrated associations where neural data has this distinction and can very fluidly, energetically collaborate and communicate unconsciously as energy of self-essence flows through the neurobiological wiring while life is being processed and translated and projected into the immediate sense of reality. And so this moment, there was not a felt sense of safety, so the experiential elements are not able to harmoniously couple, and instead they either experience overcoupling or undercoupling. And so if there's overcoupling, then the associations between the abstract conceptualization of a cat and something else end up creating an association like cat and fear, or cat and pain. Then anytime you see a cat, the unconscious body-mind is going to understand the cat in relation to this information. And there's going to be a sense of hesitancy. You might not approach the cat and just casually pet it. You might just kind of be over here like, okay, please don't approach me, cat. And it's not happening consciously, it's happening in the unconscious body-mind. Attachment well-being affects how memories become processed. This is really important. This is one of the biggest things I discovered. Attachment well-being in each moment affects how our memories become processed. And memories, again, are about how we navigate our sense of self in present and potential moments, which means that when there's moments of life that don't have fulfillment of attachment needs, then the memory data created there might subsequently disrupt unconscious navigation regarding sense of self and processing of personal life and experience. And that's where we get different kinds of implicit battles or mental, emotional, or action pattern or behavioral health challenges. Moments lacking fulfillment of any or all attachment needs disrupts the processing of experiential elements gathered during those moments to be processed into the neural wiring. And this can create overcoupling, or where neural data overcouples, and then there's too many associations and it disrupts the navigation that's provided by this neural wiring. And or it can cause undercoupling, or neural data undercouples, and then there's not enough associations and then it can't provide navigation during life. And so this can happen in seemingly small moments, like being lost in a store as a child or being yelled at by someone. And in those instantaneous moments, I'm talking nanoseconds, because that's how quickly life elements are being processed and translated into energetic data that's stored in the body. So it's not like 1 hour creates an experiential element that's placed in neural wiring. Every nanosecond is gathering a new piece of energetic intel and incorporating that into the unconscious neural wiring. And this neural wiring is how we understand our navigation through identity and experience moving forward. So in nanoseconds, in that instantaneous moment, there might not be a felt sense of support or safety. Again, like if you're lost in a store for a moment and you're like, wait a second, where am I? In that nanosecond, the unconscious body-mind is like, oh my goodness, I'm not safe. I'm not being provided for. I'm not supported in this moment. And it's very, very unconscious. The conscious self isn't necessarily like, oh my God, this is a threat to my life. But the unconscious body-mind doesn't feel safe in that moment. And it can be that instantaneous nanosecond where 30 seconds later, you're like, oh, okay, wait, I know where I am. And you could reset really quickly. But the experiential elements gathered in those like few seconds there are not able to be effectively processed. Or if someone's yelling at you in that moment, you might consciously be like, okay, this isn't a pleasant experience. But meanwhile, your unconscious body-mind is like, oh my God, I'm not safe. I'm being attacked. And they're two separate worlds. The conscious self is having a completely different experience than what the unconscious body-mind is going through. So while the conscious self is up here like, oh my goodness, this person is so annoying, they're just laying into me. The unconscious body-mind is like, oh my God, I'm being attacked, I'm not safe. Two completely separate realities. And the conscious self is up here understanding these automated interpretations of reality. Meanwhile, the unconscious body-mind is gathering data that affects all of life moving forward. So it's kind of a big deal that we tap into this hidden reality. So in that moment where someone's yelling at you, the experiential elements gathered during those moments are not effectively processed. Those moments where attachment needs are not fulfilled disrupt how newly absorbed experiential elements undergo translative processes to become energetic pieces of data within the cells of our bodies. And that can create undercoupling or overcoupling. So this can happen in seemingly small scenarios, little everyday type mishaps, especially when it happens as a child. Things that are seemingly small are always a bigger deal to a child because of the way their neurodevelopment is in those formative stages. Something that happens to an adult, like getting lost in a store, is not going to be as big of a deal as if that happens when you're a child, okay? So it could be everyday kind of seemingly small type scenarios, or it could be really big capital T traumas. So any type of moment or moments or scenarios where it's a nanosecond or a continued experience, but any type of experience where there's not a felt sense in the unconscious body mind of attachment need fulfillment, of any or all attachment needs, then all of the different energetic pieces of information, sight, sounds, taste, textures, thoughts, feelings, all of it are not able to be effectively processed, and it disrupts the storage of that information within the cells and the neural networks of our body. Okay, the other part of this is that this is so amazing. I was so excited to discover this. It explains so much. Memories unconsciously formulate action patterns and sensational responses regarding identity and personal life, so the sense of self and how the self interacts with the world, in relation to attachment needs. So you have this moment of an unfulfilled attachment need, then the memory data might create an action pattern to try and fulfill that attachment need, or might create an action pattern trying to survive the lack of this fulfillment. So for example, there might be a lack of feeling safe in the unconscious body mind, and the conscious self is not going to directly know about this. There is no direct knowledge that the unconscious body mind doesn't feel safe. There might be a general sense of like irritability or frustration here and there, whatever. But the conscious self does not ever have direct access to understanding the well-being of attachment systems. So this is all in the unconscious brain body in a very deeply unconscious way. So let's say the attachment systems lack a felt sense of safety, security, protection, and provision. One day, this sensation is coming up unconsciously. The fingernails start to dig into the skin. It's just kind of an automated reaction because the energy needs to be channeled somewhere. There's kind of just this sense of restlessness and tension, and you just kind of instinctively start digging your fingernails into your skin, okay? Just hypothetically here, okay? In this moment, there might be a sense of relief, and then the unconscious memory system creates an action pattern, understanding that inducing physical pain can help survive this lack of feeling safe unconsciously. And this could provoke a habit like self-harm. And it could be minor self-harm, like fingernails digging into the skin, or it might end up being something more major in the realm of self-harm. But what's happening there is implicit memories are formulating action patterns unconsciously in relation to attachment needs. And all of this is happening completely unconsciously. The awareness of attachment well-being, the implicit memory data, the formation of implicit memory data, the activation of this information, all of it is happening completely unconsciously. And so even if the conscious self has an awareness of, I am digging my fingernails into my skin, the conscious self will not be able to understand why. There will not be access to that information consciously. It's happening in the unconscious body mind. The third important piece of this aspect of my thesis and conclusions from my case studies is that the activation of implicit memory data from moments of unfulfilled attachment needs reduces the ability for new experiential elements to become effectively processed. So for example, you're moving through a moment of life. In that exact moment, the person is completely safe, totally connected, loved and supported, respected and embraced. But in that moment, their unconscious neural data is accessing implicit memories from a past moment where attachment needs were not fulfilled, and using that information to navigate the current moment regarding self and life. But it is happening unconsciously. The conscious self does not understand that implicit memory data from moments of feeling unsafe or unsupported or disconnected or disrespected, whatever it might be. The conscious self does not know that that neural data is affecting their unfolding moments as they understand who they are and how they're interacting with the world. When this happens, the new moment where all attachment needs are totally fulfilled, everything's super fine and going great, in that moment might not be effectively processed because the activation of neural data from past moments of unfulfilled attachment needs is how the new moment is being interpreted unconsciously. And so activation of implicit data from past moments of unfulfilled attachment needs reduces the ability for new moments to be effectively processed. Another important insight is that new moments of unfulfilled attachment needs can disrupt the wiring of previously sculpted memories. And this especially occurs during early stages of neurodevelopment. So for example, if there's a traumatic event that occurs at age 4, then memories sculpted around 6 months old may become disrupted in their neural organization. It kind of goes both ways. New moments of unfulfilled attachment needs can disrupt past wiring and new wiring, and the activation of data from past moments of unfulfilled attachment needs projects that information and disrupts the processing of new experiential elements into neural data. My second conclusion, thesis, or discovery in this case study was that attachment systems affect the processing of memories. Memories create sensations and action patterns within implicit data in relation to attachment needs. And the activation of this information unconsciously affects how new moments are processed into pieces of neural wiring.